You know what happens to these bodies? 4 things. Did you know the 4 things that happen to these bodies? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi.
It is ill, it is born, it is dead.
Born, death.
And illness.
Illness, yeah. Vyadi. And what else?
Elderness. Yep.
Old age.
Yeah.
Jara. Jara is called old age. So our Gurudev, he used to say, old age, Jara, she, it's a she, not a he, she will come and embrace you. Old age will come and she will embrace you. And you will have to embrace her also. So that's the thing. We are all in the same situation, different stages, but the young ones think, oh, we're young, we have so much time, everything. No, everyone has the same amount of time. Very soon body will be finished, then next body, right? At least we know this. This is important to know. If someone knows this, they're very fortunate. Yeah. Because most people they're like sleeping. The jiva. Sleeping. You know there's one song that we have in our songbook? The title of the song is Jeev Jago. You know the meaning? Jeev Jago.
Wake up.
Yes. Oh Jiva, wake up, wake up. And who's calling out? Oh Jivas, wake up, wake up. Yes. Gaura Chanda Bole. The moon-like golden Lord Chaitanya, Gaura Chandra Bole. He is calling to us. So after he says, Jeev Jago, he says it twice, Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole. Then he says, Koto Nidra Jao Maya Pisha Chira Kole. You know the meaning? How much longer will you continue to sleep? Koto Nidra. Nidra means sleeping. Jao Maya. How long will you continue to sleep in Maya, who is called Pishachir? Pishachi means witch. In every culture of the world, they have witches. Witchcraft, witches, black magic, all these kind of things. They have. So, here he's saying Pisha Chira Kole. That means Kole means lap. Now, the lap is usually where babies will sleep, right? On the lap of their mother, or like this. Usually it's very loving and affectionate that someone's sleeping on the lap. But in this case, Mahaprabhu is warning us and he's saying, how long are you going to continue sleeping on the lap of the witch called Maya? Maya is not treating you very gently. No. Maya is piercing. But actually Maya also means mercy. The word Maya can also mean mercy. And how is it mercy? Because Krishna and his energy, the illusory energy, Maya, he has given instructions to her that you should inflict, you should give so many miseries to the jivas, to their body. Because the jivatma is not suffering misery. Only misery that the Jivatma suffers is separation from Krishna. The Atma is not affected by old age, disease, birth, death, no. The Atma is not affected. But because we're asleep and we think, oh, I'm this body, and this body is suffering, so we forget who we are. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya comes to call out and remind us, Jeev Jago! Jeev Jago! Yes. Wake up, wake up. So, also our spiritual master, he has come to wake us up by giving us the message of Lord Chaitanya. And he's also telling us, now that you have woken up, now go and wake up some more jivas like this. Good program. We want to wake up and experience our real life.
Personal one question.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can meet people, I met people who were saying like, I feel myself like I'm not so old, for example, but I feel like my soul is very young. But also I met some people who were like of young age, but they were saying like, I feel myself so old.
They
Like,
feel themselves.
yeah, and the question is it possible that some souls are older and some souls are younger?
No.
Like they come here, like they lived for 27 lives before, or they came for the first life here, something like that.
You see, when people say like that, oh, he's an old soul,
Yeah.
they absolutely don't know anything. We are all old souls. You know how old we are? Our soul?
Can't imagine.
We have been in this material world for not millions of lives. Many millions of lives. Lifetimes. We cannot calculate how long we have been here in the material world. Birth, death, birth, death. You know that human birth, that now we have our human body. You know how rare that is? Do you know how ochin redkaya? How very, very rare it is to get a human birth? Did you know?
Truly appeared this example, this turtle comes from the ocean.
Yeah, that's one example. But just mathematically, there are 8,400,000 different species of life. And it breaks that down. Jalada Navalakshani Stavara Laksha Vimshati. How many lakhs? You know lakh, right? 100,000. How many lakhs of species of fish are there, aquatics, that live in the ocean? How many lakhs of species are there of, like, reptiles and insect? How many species of life there are? Millions of species. How many species of life are there of the birds that are flying? How many species of life are there of the animals? So many different animal species. And how many species are human? Do you know how many species of human beings there are in this universe?
They say like 8 billion.
No. How many different species of humans? Different species. Different types of humans. You know there are different races, right? There are black, there are yellow, there are like this. But do you know how many species of human beings there are? Not just on this planet, but in the whole universe. There are 4 lakhs. 4 lakhs of different species of human being. 4 lakhs. How much is that? 400,000 different types of humans. We only see a small number of them here on this planet, but they're all over the universe. And not only that, but Srila Rupa Goswami has also told, he said that of these 400,000 species, how many of them are civilized? You know civilized? Civilized species. There are uncivilized, and then there are civilized. So half, 200,000 are uncivilized. It's like living in the jungle, almost like animals.
African tribu.
Yeah, like that. Tribal kind of people. And they're considered to be uncivilized. They don't have a system of government, highly developed, and especially they don't have a system of religious government, varnashram, dharma, like this, all divisions. But anyway, 200,000 species are civilized. Mahaprabhu told us in his teachings to Rupa Goswami. So, but then out of those civilized species of humans, he said the majority of them are called Dharma Dvaji. Dharma Dvaji. You know what a Dharma Dvaji is? Dvaja also means like a flag, like you hold up a flag. What they are is they're only speaking, I follow this religion, this like that. But they don't actually follow. They don't actually follow. So, then Mahaprabhu says, out of all these different species of life that are wandering and wandering in the universe, that's what's going on. We are wandering in this universe, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And sometimes we are going upwards to higher planets. Sometimes we are going downwards to hellish planets. Yeah. So in this way, the jiva is wandering. And then finally, Mahaprabhu says to Rupa Goswami, he says, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiv. He says, amongst all these jivas that are Brahmanda Brahmite, that means wandering in the universe, wandering. You see? He says, of all of these millions, billions, trillions of jivas, zillions is uncountable number of jivas like us. He said, how many? Then he says, out of all of those that are wandering, he says, Brahmanda Brahmiti Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. You know what that means? You know what the word Bhakti Lata. Bhakti Lata Beach. What is a lata? Yes. In Russian, the word is liana. Yes? Liana. Lata. In Sanskrit, it means vine. So yes, liana. So Mahaprabhu told Bhakti Lata. Why is he using the word lata? Vine. Why? Why using the word vine? Because a vine, it starts from one little seed, but it's not like other plants and trees and so forth. They grow in a certain shape and then they stop. But a vine continues growing, doesn't it? It just keeps growing and growing and growing. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used the example of a vine, a liana, and in Sanskrit called lata. So he said, out of all these jivas that are wandering and wandering in the material universe, he says, there is one particular jiva who becomes Bhagyavan. Bhagya. Bhagyavan means fortunate. Fortunate. What's the word again? Dutch. Fortunate. And what makes him fortunate? Oh, he receives Guru Krishna Prasad. You know what prasad means? Not only food. Prasad means mercy. So, what happens to the fortunate jiva? He gets the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Both. Not just one. You have to have both. Krishna becomes merciful. Krishna then gives mercy to you through Guru. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai. That jiva receives the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And then what happens? Bhakti Lata Beach. He receives the seed. That's what we want. We want the seed of bhakti. Without that seed, no one can develop pure devotion. No one can develop prema. No one can go to the spiritual world. There must be this seed of bhakti in your heart. So that's a bigger topic. How do you know that you have a Bhakti Lata Beej? And what are the symptoms that you have the Bhakti Lata Beej? What happens to you as this Bhakti Lata Beej grows into a vine and so forth? It's a very great science. Great science. And Rupa Goswami wrote the book of that science called Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. The ocean, the Sindhu. The ocean of what? The nectar, the Amrita of Bhakti Rasa. So this is the great knowledge and the great gift that our gurus are giving. They're giving us so much so that our life can become perfect. Perfect. No longer have to continue birth, death, old age, disease. No. No longer. Finished. But instead of that, then what? We go to the spiritual world where we live eternally with Radha and Krishna in the forests of Vrindavan. Yes, and we have a very beautiful body. Gurudev used to say like this. Srila Narayan Raj used to say like this. You know, you have a very, very beautiful body. Not this one. You have an extremely beautiful body. It is waiting for you. Yes. That body is the body of a gopi. Yes. In the spiritual world. And there we will have love for Krishna. And we will be with all the other gopis. And we will serve Radha and Krishna forever. Which is the highest ecstasy that can be experienced by any jiva. Highest ecstasy. So is this a good program? You think that we should sign up? Huh? We should sign on the contract? Yes, I sign. Okay, I want this.
Why not?
Yes. Okay. thought it would be nice to sing Vraja Jana Mana. And then we can go for the class. When will you have a chance to get that other?
I got it.
You got
I
it?
give it to you at lunch.
Oh, okay.
Because it has to be charged.
No problem. Okay.
So we'll
Yeah.
set it all up.
Yeah. Today I have to leave earlier. We can't talk very long because I'm going to go to Mayapur and purchase a second-hand scooter. Yeah. I'm finally breaking down and I'm going to do that. So, but we'll take prashad. We'll take prashad and then have to go. Okay. And I have to go to the bank along the way and then I'll get that for you. And you can, I don't know, you can deposit it into your account or we can order it on my account, whatever. Yeah. But we'll take care of that. Okay, thanks, man. Raja Janamana Sukhakari. We're going to sing that beautiful song of Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Oh, is there a kartal? You can hand me a kartal.
Yes.
Forgot to bring mine.
Raja Jana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shama Shama Shama
Shri Radhe Raja Jana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shama Shama Shama
Shri Radhe Raja Jana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shama 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 Shri Radhe
Jana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shama Shama
Shama Shama Shama Radhe Shama 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 Radhe Shama 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 Radhe Shama 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 Radhe
You know that today is, on the calendar, what today is full moon day. Which full moon? Baladev Prabhu's Rasa dance. And who else is Rasa dance? Krishna's Vasanti Ras. Of course, they took place at completely different time periods, but they both took place on this Titi, Vasanti Ras. So just see, you're studying Ras Panchadhyaya, and this is one of our first classes, and Baladev Purnima, and Krishna's Vasanti Ras described in the Gita Govinda of Srila Jayadev Goswami. How appropriate, huh? And also one of our very great acharyas, Sri Shyamananda Prabhu. His appearance or disappearance?
It's 3 appearances.
Which other two?
So, Vamsi Bhagavananda.
Oh yes, that's right. The incarnation of Sri Krishna's flute. Vamshivadananda Goswami.
And also, disciple of Sri Bhakti Saraswati Prabhupada, Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Goswami.
Bhakti Vilas Tirtha, who used to be his secretary. Are you sure it's Bhakti Vilas Tirtha's appearance day?
Yeah, but he's not Bhakti, Bhakti Vilas Bharati Maharaj.
Yes.
That's it, Bhakti Vilas Bharati.
Okay. Yes.
And it's because of him that there's no meat in Mayapur. He actually went to court and made a whole thing like when he banned any kind of picnics and meat eating and all that kind of stuff. So now
When did that happen?
I don't know. Srila Prabhupada is in the Yeshua of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay. Right. Great achievement. So, of course, Vamshi Vadan Ananda Thakur. You know what seva he did in the Gaur Leela? Huh?
He took care of
He took care what?
and
You have to talk a little louder because the fan.
He took care of Krishna Priya and Satyamata, and after they passed away, their deities.
Yes. He was also one of the devotees who accompanied Lord Nityananda when Lord Nityananda took Jiva Goswami on Parikrama in the Navadvip Mahatmya. Krishna's flute himself came along. Yes. So what an incredible personality. Direct associate. And of course Shyamananda Prabhu. We know the story. How Shyamananda Prabhu was originally, at his birth, he was named Dukhi. Why was he named Dukhi? Dukhi means someone who is unhappy, full of dukh. Dukkha means sorrow, suffering. Why was he named Dukhi?
Parents called.
His previous elder siblings died when they were very young or in the womb. And so his mother decided to name him that, so maybe that would stop the bad things from happening.
That's right. We'll just name him that he's already very sad. No need to bring any more sadness. That was the logic. So, but later on, when he became initiated, you know who his initiating guru is? Huh? Yes, Hriday Chaitanya, who was the disciple of Gauridas Pandit in Ambika Kalna. He was his disciple, Hriday Chaitanya. And what was that pastime where he got this name? Hriday Chaitanya. Remember? It had something to do with that he captured Lord Chaitanya in his heart. Hriday Chaitanya. I can't remember the details. So, anyway, Dukhi came to Vrindavan, or I don't know exactly where his initiation took place, but prior to coming under the tutelage of Jiva Goswami, in the association of Srinivasacharya and Narottam Das Thakur. So then he received initiation, and he got the name Krishna Das. So now his name became Dukhi Krishna Das. So, but later on, certain pastime took place that they dropped the Dukhi, and his name was also changed. And what happened? He was sweeping one day in Vrindavan. Have you gone to that place? There's an actual place there, near to the Yamuna, where he found what as he was sweeping? A golden anklet. And he was completely amazed to see this golden anklet. He took it and kept it. But then he was wondering, this is such an exquisitely beautiful golden anklet. Who could this belong to? But then some young girl came there and said, we are looking for the golden anklet of our Saki. She has lost it just around this area here. Have you found a golden anklet? They said, yes, I did. And then they said, we will take it from you and we will give it to her. He said, no. I'm only going to give it to the person who is the owner. They'll have to come to me and take it from me. So, that opportunity came where Dukhi Krishna Das now got the darshan of Srimati Radhika. Can you imagine? You know? And actually, before that happened, he had touched this anklet to his forehead, like where we put the tilak. And suddenly, an indelible mark came on his forehead. And he even tried to wash it off later on, but no, it just again reappeared. So, when Radhika came, then she gave her mercy to him, and he actually wanted to place it on her lotus feet. So he put the anklet on her lotus feet. But before he did that, she touched the anklet to his forehead. And then that became the Shamananda, Sampradaya's specific type of tilak. It's like the upper part of our tilak, but it doesn't have the lower tulsi leaf part. Yeah. So to this day, hundreds of years later, in that Sampradaya of the Radha Shyama Sundar temple, they still wear that kind of tilak. You can see devotees in Vrindavan moving around and they're wearing that type of tilak. And, now I'm remembering, because I was reading this yesterday from Srila Bharati Maharaj's Katha. And later on, I think it was Jiva Goswami who was concerned that he was making some change in what has been established by the Acharyas, like overstepping the Acharyas. But then Dukhi Krishna Das, who later was Shamananda, I'm telling about that, but he told the Jiva Goswami, I try to take the mark, but it won't go. And even if I wash it, it comes back. And he told him, of course, the whole story about the anklet and everything. So he said, okay, must be the will of our Swami. But anyway, he then was awarded the name Shamananda. And each one of the other two of the three Prabhus also were awarded certain title. That like Srinivas was awarded the title Acharya. And then Narottam Das was given the title Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur. But Dukhi Krishna Das, he was given the name Shyamananda Prabhu. So in that way, these three Prabhus are very important personalities in our Sampradaya. Incredibly important personalities. But that's the story. And not only did he receive that mercy from Srimati Radhika, she also gave him something. Do you know what that something was? A beautiful deity of Krishna. And that's where the Shama Sundar temple comes from. Because there's a smaller deity that was directly given by Radhika to him. And then later on, Baladev Vijayabhushan installed the large deities that are there in the Radha Shama Sundar temple, Baladev Vijayabhushan. So that's in short and brief. Sri Shamananda Prabhu ki. So, and of course, Baladev Rasa dance is very essential. Do you know that in the first chapter of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur, when he is glorifying his guru, do you know who the guru of Vrindavan Das Thakur is? Nityananda Prabhu himself is his guru. So in that first chapter, he goes extensively into glorifying Sri Baladev, who manifests in so many different forms, all the way up to Ananta Shesh. And in this way, he's always serving Krishna, serving Radha and Krishna. So Vrindavan Das Thakur is trying to tell how authentic is the Ras Leela dance of Baladev. How authentic. Because some persons don't accept it, you see. But what does that prove? What does this prove? That Baladev Prabhu actually danced Ras Leela in Vrindavan, in Braj. And he danced it on this day, the full moon day. The same day that Krishna earlier had danced in the Vasanti Ras. On this full moon day. So, Vrindavan Das Thakur is explaining that there is actually no difference between Krishna and his first expansion, Baladev. He's actually in a direct manifestation of Krishna himself. We can say expansion, but he's actually just another form of Krishna. And to prove that, there is no other expansion or incarnation in all of eternity, time and space, that can ever dance Ras Leela, except for him. Only Baladev can dance Ras. Now we also know that when he came to Vrindavan, he was coming there to console all the Vaishnavas, all the direct associates of Krishna, who were in such pain and sorrow of separation. So he consoled all of them, but especially the gopis. He stayed for 2 months. 2 months, and every night he danced Ras. So the question comes, did he also dance Ras with Krishna's gopis? Actually, the story is there, earlier in 10th canto, that on the holy, the day of throwing the colors and all of that, so Krishna and Balaram, cowherd boys, were there, gopis were there, and they were all having these battles. Right? But at that time, there was a set of gopis that were not as much involved, and they were a little younger. And Krishna glanced at Baladev Prabhu, and just with his glance, he told him everything. Those are your gopis. So later they grew up, and then Baladev danced Ras with them. But all of Krishna's gopis, they also watched, and they were completely consoled. Can you imagine? Baladev Prabhu can dance Ras. Now, this is not ordinary at all. In any sphere, he's the only other person, only other personality of Godhead who can dance Ras Leela. Yes. But still, Krishna's Ras Leela is unique with his billions of gopis. Not millions, billions. So then somebody may think, well, billions of gopis, we've been there, we've been to Vrindavan, we've seen. How are billions of gopis going to fit into that area? Huh? Isn't that a logical question, right? But first of all, we have to understand that there is no limitation of logic in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and there's no limitation also of time. No time limitation, there's no space or area limitation, because the Dham, it can expand unlimitedly to billions of miles. Yeah. And the Dham can also contract. Sometimes the example is given of a lotus flower, that the petals can come out, and then they can also come in. But at any rate, Krishna's pastimes are absolutely achintya. They're all inconceivable. So we shouldn't try to apply like the ordinary logic to Krishna's pastimes. And also Baladev. So, that's the subject matter of, that is the topics of today's remembrance of the holy days that are occurring on this full moon day. And now I'm going to begin to read what I've been telling you about the introduction to Gurudev's incredible book, which talks about Krishna's flute song, and it's called Venu Geet. And I was very fortunate to be involved in editing this book. It was actually the only book that I really worked on as an editor, but it was in 1995 before Gurudev came to the West. And actually this Venu Geet has two different versions. One version was the one that we worked on in 1995, and that was taken from Gurudev's English discussions with Satsvarup Maharaj. He was explaining the whole chapter of Venu Geet. But later on, the Hindi-speaking devotees all requested Gurudev, can you please write Venu Geet for us in Hindi? So this version has both in it. It's kind of like a combination of the English, and then Gurudev edited and added so many things to it as well. But the introduction is exactly the same. So this introduction is, like I was telling you the other day, this is such a masterpiece introduction. So we're going to see how far along we can get in this. I'd like to finish it. It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. And we're going to see how Srila Gurudev presents the Praman. That how is it possible that the persons who are not so qualified, that they can, persons who are not so qualified to hear this narration of Krishna's sweet conjugal pastimes from Srimad Bhagavatam, how is it possible that they can? Well, that will be explained here. So now Srila Gurudev begins. Oh, I didn't even say my Pramans. Jnana Timirandasya Jnanam Jana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Nangayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinatam Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauda Tishe Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikakant Radha Kant Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsidev Vai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satchavachaya Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama My Dandavat pranams at the lotus feet of my most worshipable, beloved Siksha and Diksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Stutarashata Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtotarashata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtotarashata Sri Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Swami Maharaj. And my Dandavat pranams at the lotus feet of all my Sri Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga. My Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas and to all the Vaishnavas. So, this is the introduction to the chapter of the 10th canto titled Venugit, the flute song of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is a direct manifestation of the Supreme Lord. What is Srimad Bhagavatam? A direct manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Direct manifestation. It is an ambrosial, overflowing ocean of supremely sweet, nectarian love, prem ras, for the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swayam Bhagavan, that is, Brajendra Nandan, Sri Krishna, the personification of divine mellows. What a sentence. Gurudev is opening up this chapter with just like an incredible deluge, like a tsunami crashing. What is the Srimad Bhagavatam? It's this ambrosial, overflowing ocean of supremely sweet, nectarian prem ras for the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swayam Bhagavan, that is Brajendra Nandan Shri Krishna, who's the personification of divine rasa, mellows. Now, rasik and bhavak devotees. Do you know? There's a verse wherein these two types of devotees are mentioned in the very, very beginning of the first canto, first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's actually in the third verse. These first three verses are written by Srila Vyasadeva. They're his Mangala Charana. So in the third shloka, there are two types of persons who he refers to that are going to relish the nectarine juice of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, how does that shloka begin? Nigama kalpatarar galitam phalam shukamukad amrita drava samyutam pivata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. So, very often, Gurudev would use these two terminologies together. He would say, you should hear from a Vaishnava who is rasik and bhavuk. Now he's telling this. He's saying, rasik and bhavuk devotees, absorbed in tasting the beauty of Krishna's pastimes, they always drown in this ocean. They drown. Srimad Bhagavatam is the fully ripened, juicy fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literature that comprises the entirety of Indian thought. So, we have it all. The entirety of Indian thought. That means eons and yugas of transcendental thought, knowledge, philosophical principles, everything. This is what the Srimad Bhagavatam is. It is the ripened fruit of that tree, that desire tree of the Vedic literature. This is the essence of that fruit. Now, within the Srimad Bhagavatam, Gopi Prem, the love of the cowherd maidens of Braja has been ascertained to be the ultimate objective. What does that mean? What does that mean? That Gopi Prem has been ascertained to be the ultimate objective. That means sadhya, the goal. The goal. Everyone has some purpose in their life. Everyone has some goal that they've made a decision that they want to try to achieve. Right? Everyone has that. But there is the highest ascertainable goal, which not just ordinary people, but the highest transcendentalists have very carefully examined, and they've understood this is the supreme and ultimate objective that we should try to attain in our life. And what is that? Gopi Prem. The prem that is possessed in the hearts of who? The maidens, the cowherd maidens of Braja. Cowherd maidens, the gopis. Do you know why they're called gopis? Why are they named Gopi? Because the word go means what? Go means cow. And what else does go mean? Go also means our senses. What else? Huh? No. Go means land also. Senses, cows, land. And Krishna has a name which uses the word go. What's Krishna's name? Does he have another one also? Yes. Govinda, Gopala. And do you know that he lives in a society? He lives in a village of what? Gopas. Gopa. And also gopis. Gopa means male, gopi means female. But why the word pa? And why Krishna? Gopal. Gopal. Because it means maintainer of the go, of the cows. This is the community of cow herding people. This is where we want to live forever. In the village where the gopas and the gopis and the go, where they all live. Do you know that we say this every day in our Jayadwani? We say, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan. Go, 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 go. Right? Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan. Why is Govardhan called Govardhan? You know what it means? The word Govardhan? Where Vardhana, where the cows are increasing. Govardhana. Cows are increasing. Because Govardhan Hill has everything that is needed by the cows. What do the cows need? They need two things especially. They need some grass to eat, right? And they also need water to drink. Does Giriraj Govardhan supply these two things? Profusely. Unlimitedly. Because there's a lot of cows. Govardhan is not small like we see today. Govardhan was miles high previously. Yes. and very, very vast and wide also. Actually, when we do the Govardhan Parikrama, we're walking on Govardhan, because Govardhan is underneath now, underneath the land. But we're walking on Govardhan, because Govardhan is directly below. And Govardhan is shrinking. Why? 2 reasons. Separation from Krishna. And also he was cursed. By who? Huh? I can't hear you. Oh yeah, Pulastya. Pulastya Muni. Because, anyway, that's a whole story. We're going to go off in too many directions, and I'm only going to get 2 paragraphs read. Okay. Anyway, gopis, this is a very important word for us. Gopi. You know, I'll never forget my very dear god sister, Vrindavan Vilasini. When we went to Fiji with our Gurudev the first time, we went with him. And there, we were having festivals for a period of 3 weeks on 3 different islands. But we took boats from one island to the other, but Gurudev flew. So we were waiting on one very idyllic, beautiful, picturesque, as the sun is setting in the sky, of a beautiful tropical, paradisical sunset, waiting for the boat to arrive in Fiji. So, I remember Vrindavan Vilasini, who at that point, that was around 1997 or 98, she had already been living in Vrindavan for, something like 9 or 10 years at that point. And you know, everybody was like awestruck. It was so beautiful in this tropical. And she said, but there's no gopis. There's no gopis. Why should I be interested in this? Where's the gopis? So we are from that line. So now we should know that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Gopi Prem, the love of the cowherd maidens of Braja, has been ascertained to be the ultimate objective. That is important to understand. Now, a few towering waves of Gopi Prem can be seen from the Veda Gita portion of Srimad Bhagavatam. Towering waves of Gopi Prem, just a few, in the Veda Gita chapter. And Rasik devotees who are seasoned in experiencing divine loving sentiments, they drown themselves in these waves. They even lose all consciousness of their own bodies. And greed to be immersed in this ambrosial ocean sprouts also in the hearts of the faithful devotees who are situated on the shore of this ocean. So even if you're not drowning in those waves of Gopi Prem that are shown in the Veda Gita, and even if you're not losing consciousness of your whole body because of these waves being inundated, but still, for those who are situated on the shore of this ocean, not in the ocean, that's us, hopefully. Oh, and these devotees are faithful devotees. They have Shraddha. And they're hearing this narration. So what happens? Some greed to be immersed in this ambrosial ocean sprouts also in the hearts of these faithful devotees who are situated on the shore of this ocean. Now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the combined form of Rasaraj who is the king of all divine mellows, and Mahabhav, who is the queen of divine love. Who is that? Who is Rasaraj? Do you know that Rasaraj means the king of all rasa? Rasa Raj, the king. Who is that? Who is called Rasaraj? Huh? Is it Lord Vishnu? Is it Lord Ramachandra? Is it Dwarkadish? Is it Mathuresh? No. Only one Rasaraj. That is Brajendra Nandan Shyamasundar. So, and who is Mahabhav? This is a person. But Mahabhav also means Mahabhav. Transcendental love of the highest, most condensed form is called Mahabhav. And whose body is made of this? Srimati. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is what? He's the combined form of Rasaraj and of Mahabhav. Because he's actually Krishna. But now Krishna has combined with Radhika. So that form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, golden form, is the combined form of Rasaraj and Mahabhav in one form. You can meditate on this till the end of time, and you'll still not fully comprehend. Because this is what was witnessed by Ramananda Roy. And who is Ramananda Roy? Lalita Devi herself. No, sorry, Vishaka Devi. Vishaka. And she knows everything about Radha and Krishna and their transcendental loving moods. But in the form of Ramananda Roy, Vishaka never saw that form before. When Mahaprabhu revealed himself, you can see in the chapter 8, Madhya Lila, of Ramananda Roy Sambad. And Mahaprabhu, when he revealed himself to Ramananda Roy couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it. He fainted. He fell and fainted to the ground. Because what did he see? He saw how Rasaraj and Mahabhav are both combining together in this golden form, who is now appearing before me as a sannyasi. So Gurudev is explaining that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the combined form and who is resplendent with the sentiment and the bodily complexion of Sri Radha, he relished the nectar of this Venugit. Mahaprabhu would hear the verses and all this whole Venugit and all the other 5 songs of the gopis. He was always hearing this. Where? In Jagannath Puri, in the Gambhira. From who? Ramananda Roy, Sarup Damodar Goswami, Lalita and Vishaka. Yes, he relished the nectar of the Venugit with Sri Sarup Damodar and Sri Ramananda Roy and Sri Gambhira. And Sri Sanatana Goswami and Sri Jiva Goswami, they collected a few drops of this nectar in their commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, which are entitled Brihad Vaishnava Toshani and Lagu Vaishnava Toshani, respectively. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, through his commentary named Sar Artha Darshani, he has distributed to the whole world the same nectar in the form of remnants of their Mahaprasad. So, now, Gurudev is now going to bring up the argument. Some persons believe that unqualified sadhaks, spiritual practitioners, they are ineligible to hear, to chant, or to remember the topics of Sri Venu Geet, or Sri Ras Panchadhyay, Jugal Geet, Brahmara Geet, and so on, as described in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So what's the argument? Huh? What's the argument? Ineligible. They're unqualified sadhakas. So they are not eligible to hear, to chant, or to remember these topics. Then Gurudev says about that consideration, he says, this consideration is fully legitimate. It's fully legitimate to have such a consideration. But, according to their conception, only a sadhak who has conquered the 6 urges, lust, anger, etc., and who is free from all anarthas, selfish, mean propensities, anarthas, he's free from that, and fully purified of the heart disease of lust. Only he is eligible to hear such topics, while all others have no right. We will now examine this topic in greater detail. Are you ready? Yes. 3 different considerations have been put forward here. Those who have not conquered their 6 urges, those who have not become free from anarthas, and those who have not been fully purified of the heart disease of lust. They are not eligible to hear these topics. So, now, Gurudev is saying, we will examine this topic in greater detail. He begins by saying, Srila Rupa Goswami, who established and who fulfilled the inner heart's desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he composed Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sri Ujjvala Nilamani, and other sacred texts. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami composed Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. While writing, they were deeply concerned that these topics, these confidential topics, and these confidential texts on rasa should not fall into the hands of unqualified persons. So, Gurudev is making the point that these great personalities, especially personalities like Rupa Goswami himself, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who composed Chaitanya Charitamrita, they were also very concerned while they were writing that these very confidential texts, because this is describing rasa, this is describing the topic of rasa. So they were very concerned that they should not fall into the hands of unqualified persons. And if this should occur, it could present a great disturbance to the world. So they were concerned about this. So is it legitimate to be concerned that these texts are not going to fall into the hands of unqualified persons? Yeah, it is. Because what will happen in the world? Big, huge disturbance. Now, a glimpse of this topic is found in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 4, Adi Leela, that I talked about, verse 231, as stated by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So here, he's quoting 7 verses in Bengali. He's written this. I'll just read a couple of them and then we'll read the translation. A sab siddhanta guda kahite na jujai. Na kahile keho ihar anta nahi pai. Ataeva kahi kichu kurina nigudha. Bujibe rasik bhakta na bujibe mudha. Hriday dharai ye chaitanya nityananda. E sab siddhante se paive ananda. E sab siddhanta hoy amrera pallava. Bhakta gana kokiler sarvada vallava. Abhakta ushtrer ite na hoy pravesh. Tabe chitte hoy mor ananda vishesh. Je lagi kohite boy. Se jadi na jane, iha vai kabi sukha ache tribhuvane. Ataeva bhakta gane kori namaskar, nishanke kohiye tar hauk chamatkar. So, here is the okay, I'll try to explain it. So he's saying, this is what Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying. The esoteric and the confidential conclusions regarding the amorous pastimes of Rasaraj Sri Krishna with the gopis, the cowherd maidens of Braja, who embodied the highest sentiments of divine love. So, these esoteric and confidential conclusions, they're not fit to be disclosed to the common, ordinary man. I mean, are you going to stop someone on the street as you're trying to distribute books and say, my dear sir, I just want to inform you that Radha and Krishna are the supreme absolute truth, and they're made of ras, they're Rasaraj and Mahabhav, and their pastimes are unlimited, eternal, and this book is all about that. No, we're not going to do that. Because that is not appropriate. So, here he's saying, yes, it's a fact, that these very confidential pastimes of the amorous pastimes of Rasaraj Sri Krishna with the gopis, they are not fit to be disclosed to the common ordinary man. But, here's the hang-up. Without revealing them, no one can enter into this topic. It has to be revealed. So this is a dilemma, right? That they're not fit to be revealed to the ordinary man, but at the same time, without revealing them, no one can enter this topic. So then he says, he made a decision. I shall therefore describe these topics in a concealed manner, so that only Rasik devotees will be able to understand, whereas the ineligible fools, they'll not understand. So this is his strategy. This is what he decided to do. But now he says, who will be able to understand? He says, anyone who has established Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu in his heart, that person will attain transcendental bliss by hearing all these conclusions. And this entire doctrine is as sweet as newly grown mango sprouts, which can be relished only by devotees who are likened to the cuckoo birds. So you should know that if you want to become a pure devotee, a Rasik Bhakta, you have to become a cuckoo bird. Okay? Yes. So, these newly grown sweet mango sprouts can be relished only by devotees who are likened to cuckoo birds. Now, what are the non-devotees likened to? You said crows, camels. For the camel-like non-devotees, there is no possibility of admittance into these topics.
What do camels eat? They actually drink their own blood. You know that? That's why they're very foolish. Camels take thorns in their mouth. The thorns cut their tongue and their mouth. And blood comes, they taste their own blood, and they think, oh, very sweet. So therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj is using the example of camel-like non-devotees. He said, it's just not possible. There is no possibility of their admittance into these topics. Now you know what happens to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami when he comes to this conclusion that he's writing here? He says, therefore, there is a special jubilation in my heart. Why? Why has he suddenly become jubilant in his heart? Because he says, if those whom I fear are themselves unable to comprehend these topics, then what could be a greater source of happiness in all the three worlds? You see? He's rejoicing. It's automatically protected. They can't enter. So therefore I don't have to be that much too fearful. Because even if they read, they won't be able to comprehend it and understand it. Only those who have captured Sri Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda Prabhu in their heart, they will gain great joy from this. So he ends this by saying, therefore, after offering obeisances to the devotees, I am revealing this subject matter without any hesitation. So, by reading and by hearing these topics, everyone can attain the highest benefit. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has clarified this topic by quoting the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 33rd chapter, verse 36. That's at the end of the Ras Panchadhyaya. What's that verse? Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusham deham ashtita bhajate tadrishi krida yak shrutva tatparo bhavet. Very, very important shloka, and it's one of the shlokas should be on your list of shlokas to memorize. Now, who's telling this shloka? Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami is speaking the shloka at the end of the whole Ras Leela narration. And there he's saying, Anugrahaya Bhaktanam. Anugraha means mercy. So in order to bestow mercy upon the devotees, and manusam deham ashtita, and also to bestow mercy upon the conditioned souls, Bhagavan Sri Krishna manifests his human-like form, and he performs such extraordinary pastimes, Ras Leela, that anyone who hears them becomes exclusively devoted unto him. Isn't that amazing? Krishna wants to give his mercy to the devotees and also to all conditioned jivas. And therefore, what does he do? Manusam deham ashrita. He manifests his human-like form and pastimes, and he performs Ras Leela. Bhajate tadrishi krida yakshudva tatparo bhavet. Anyone who hears them, what happens to them? Anyone who hears these extraordinary human-like pastimes of Krishna, what happens to that person? They become exclusively devoted to him. Yakshudva tatparo bhavet. Bhajate tadrishi krida. So, here, in this verse, Krishnadas Kaviraj points out that the verb, bhavet, in this verse, this is a verb, and it is given in the imperative mood. That means that it is compulsory for for the devotee to hear such pastimes. It is compulsory. It is compulsory to hear such pastimes, as is explained in the following verse from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 4:35. Here, Krishnadas Kaviraj is explaining this verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita chapter 4, Adi Lila. He's saying, Bhavet kriya vidilin se ihakoi kartavya avashya e anyata pratyavai. This means, in this verse, bhavet is in the imperative mood. Therefore, this certainly must be done. To not do so would be a discrepancy. Now, for the information of the reader, Gurudev is saying, I am referring here to Srila Jiva Goswami's Vaishnav Toshani commentary on this above quoted Srimad Bhagavatam verse. And the words, Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusam Deham Astita, these words indicate that the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna appears in his original human-like form. Manusam Deham Astita. And he performs various pastimes in order to bestow favor upon his devotees. Therefore, although Sri Krishna is aptakam, that means he's fully satisfied in himself, he's fully satisfied. He doesn't need to do this. But he displays, his display of kindness toward the devotees is quite appropriate. This is the distinctive characteristic of Vishuddha Sattva, pure spiritual goodness. The Lord is always prepared to reward the devotees with a result consistent with their performance of bhajan. See, it's reciprocal. What worshipful service, what bhajan the devotee is doing, the Lord is always prepared to give a reward to those devotees that is consistent with their own bhajan. So, an example is the favor that was shown toward King Rahugana by Jadbharat, and also the Lord's favor toward Shukadev Goswami. They illustrate this. Gurudev doesn't go into an explanation of that. He just mentions this. He's actually quoting Jiva Goswami. This is still the quotation from Jiva Goswami. Now, he continues. In the verse under discussion, it is said that the Lord manifests his form and pastimes in order to bestow favor upon devotees. Now, the word bhakta, devotee, used here, it refers to the Brajadevis, to the gopis. It refers to the Brajavasis, or the residents of Braja. And it also refers to all other Vaishnavas, past, present, and future. Anugrahaya Bhaktanam is referring to all these categories of Vaishnavas. So, in order to bestow favor upon the Brajadevis, the Supreme Godhead, Sri Krishna, lovingly engages in such pastimes as Purvarag. Do you know what Purvarag is? Purvarag. So Purvarag, this means that the Braja Gopis experience this loving attachment that is always growing inside of them, but this is anticipation of meeting with Krishna for the first time. They've of course seen Krishna and even played with him as they were growing up, but meeting with Krishna for conjugal exchanges, that was growing in the hearts of the Braja Gopis and becoming like burning fire. And that's called Purva Rag. Because this rag, this attachment, is prior to their meeting. Purva. Prior to their meeting. So, he's saying, Jiva Goswami is saying, that to bestow favor unto the Vrajadevis, then Sri Krishna, the Supreme Godhead, lovingly engages in such pastimes as Purvarag, and to bestow mercy upon all the residents of Braja. He enacts his birth and his other pastimes, and by all his activities he bestows favor upon past, present, and future devotees through the medium of hearing narrations of his divine pastimes. Which category are we in? Are we in the category of past devotees? Present devotees? Yes. We're in the category of present devotees. And also not just our generation, but all future generations of Vaishnavas and devotees. These pastimes are demonstrated by Krishna for all time. For all time. How amazing that we are situated only 5,000 years away. Not 5 million or 500 million years. But these pastimes will be known by the devotees all throughout the universe. And they already know them in all the higher planetary systems. They know very well. That's the bell. Okay. So, now Sri Krishna manifests all these pastimes to benefit the devotees. And by doing so, even ordinary persons other than the devotees who hear even the more common of the Lord's pastimes, they become fully intent on the Lord. That can also mean Bhagavad Gita or any of Krishna's pastimes. And that means anyone. Yes. Even ordinary persons, it says here. That's why we're distributing the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Krishna book and all the other books. Because what can happen to those persons? By hearing the more even common pastimes of the Lord, they become fully intent on the Lord. So therefore, by hearing the supremely ambrosial Ras Leela, Sri Krishna's circle dance with millions of gopis, such persons will certainly become exclusively devoted to the Lord. And of this there can be no doubt. So this fact will be elaborately discussed in subsequent verses, such as Vikriditam Vrajavadubiridam Chavishna. Now the words Manusam Deham Astita, these words, Manusam Deham Astita, they may also indicate those jivas who have attained the human form of life, and now they are able to hear all these pastimes, and thus they become exclusively devoted to the Supreme Lord. This is so because the Lord incarnates exclusively on the earthly planets. And it is here only that worship of the Lord takes on its predominant form. And consequently, the human beings residing on the earthly planets may easily hear these narrations of the Lord's pastime. So how important is it? Huh? That's the only reason why we're even in a human body, is to hear these pastimes. This is only the beginning of Gurudev's presentation, to defeat the misconceptions that we should not hear. So he says, we find the word Bhaktanam for the devotees, which means for the devotees. Bhaktanam means for the devotees. We find the word in this verse, but in some other editions, the word Bhutanam, which means for all living entities. In some other editions of the Bhagavatam, it is found in that other word is found in its place. Now, in the first case, the purport is that the Lord incarnates only for the sake of the devotees, who are thus the root cause of the Lord's appearance. But the Lord also appears in his original human-like form in order to bestow his favor upon the liberated souls. That's one category. the aspirants for liberation, another category, that he comes and appears in his original human-like form to bestow his favor upon all these different categories. One of them is those who are liberated, those who are aspiring for liberation, sense enjoyers, and all other living entities in accordance with their relationship with his devotees. The Lord's compassion is therefore said to be the cause of his appearance. But nevertheless, it must be understood that the Lord's favor toward other living entities is due only to their relationship with his devotees. Yes, we have very important work to do as devotees to help the other jivas. That gives them their eligibility. You see? So now, in his Bhagavatam commentary, known as the Bhavarta Deepika, Srila Sridhar Swami has written that what to speak of the devotees, even materialistic persons, are freed from their material absorption by hearing the Lord's pastimes, and thus they become exclusively fixed upon him. It's the next praman. First Jiva Goswami, now Sridhar Swami. Now, he says, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains this verse in his commentary known as Sarartha Darshani. He says that the Lord performs varieties of pastimes to show favor to his devotees. Coming in the human form of life, living entities who hear these pastimes become exclusively devoted unto the Lord. In other words, they develop firm faith in hearing the narrations of the Lord's activities. What more shall I say? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying. What more shall I say about the importance of hearing about Krishna's pastimes? In this Ras Leela, being fully imbued with Madhurya Rasa, it is eminently distinguished even from the Lord's other pastimes. Yes. And now he gives 3 examples how it is distinguished even from the Lord's other pastimes, this Ras Leela pastime. He says, like a jewel. He gives 3 examples. Like a jewel, like a mantra, or like a powerful medicine. 3 things. Jewel, mantra, or aushadhi, medicine. He says this Ras Leela, which is like a jewel, a mantra, or a powerful medicine, is endowed with such indisputable, astonishing potency that by hearing it, all persons in the human form become devoted to the Supreme Lord. And therefore, all varieties of devotees who hear the descriptions of these pastimes will become successful and they will obtain supreme pleasure. Can there be any doubt about this? Lord Premanand. So we haven't finished, but time to go and take prasadam. And we will continue in our next class to complete this. Yes. Yeah. There's more. A lot more. Okay. Anyway, did we get the point thus far? What's the point? What's the simple message in all the sentences and paragraphs that we just read? That the pastimes of Krishna, the inconceivable potency of Krishna's pastimes, and especially which one? Ras Leela, is so powerful that there is absolutely no question that anyone in the human body who hears these pastimes, what will take place? They'll develop faith in Krishna and they'll become completely one-pointed and intent on worshipping Krishna. So,
there's more arguments to come. And everyone will be utterly defeated. Anyone who ever again attempts to try to say, no, you should not go, you should not hear. No. We will give them a whole long list of reasons why they are wrong. Yes. So actually, it is Gurudev who has put this all together in his introduction. So, Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Radha Vinodhi Hari Jiv Ki Jai. Jai Shri Ras Panchadhyay Ki Jai. Jai Shri Venu Gita Ki Jai. Jai Shri Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Ananda Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Smagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premani. All glory to the Son of the Lord.